is gone away. Said they're moving to LA. There's not a soul I know is leaving town. Some caught a freight, some caught a plane. Find the sunshine, leave the rain. They said this town's a waste of time. I guess they're right, it's wasting mine. Some's gotta win, some's gotta lose. Good time Charlie's got to lose. Good time Charlie's got to lose. You know my heart keeps telling me you're not a kid at 33. You play around, you lose your mind. You play too long, you lose your life. I got my pills to ease the pain. Can't find a thing to ease the rain. I'd love to try and settle down, but everybody's leaving town. Some's gotta win, some's gotta lose. Good time Charlie's got the blues. Good time Charlie's got the blues. Good time Charlie's got the blues.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Caswell Cook Show, or as it's the whole start of this coronavirus thing, Ask Caswell. And we have a show on a couple different pages, and also I want to welcome a lot of Steve Forbert's fans because we're live on his Facebook page. So with our modern technology, we're able to be on the Caswell Cook Show page, a whole bunch of different platforms on YouTube. So wherever you're watching us tonight, thank you for tuning in. We've been doing this show for the past 3 weeks and had some great guests on. We had our friend Tom Wopat from the Dukes of Hazzard on Monday. We've had Terry Sylvester from the Hollies, singer John Ford Coley, Jonathan Edwards. All kinds of wonderful people have been on this show. And tonight, it's my pleasure. We just saw his video from his latest video to bring onto the screen the one and only singer-songwriter Steve Forbert.
Caswell, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Steve?
I'm fine. We're going to have some fun now.
Now that we're live
aren't you glad we were able to do
on our
this?
live stream?
Yes.
We're all over the place.
Okay, what's going to happen here?
I'm very glad. Well, first of all, I'm here in Rhode Island. Where are you?
I'm down the Jersey Shore, down the shore, pretty close to Asbury Park. It's been extremely windy.
So if you
today.
turn off whatever that is, tell me about the song that we just heard, "Good Time Charlie."
Well, let's see. It was originally a hit for the guy who wrote it, which was Danny O'Keefe. And it's been recorded by so many people, I can't even remember them all. I do know that Willie Nelson had a pretty good hit with it. I think it was in the early 80s. Do you recall?
I don't recall, but I love your version.
Well, thank you. I've wanted to record it for a while. And it's part of a new cover record I have coming out. It's I've never done a cover record before, so it's part of a new record that is a cover record, and there are 11 tunes on it, and that's what we call the first single.
So, what's the name of the new album?
It's called Early Morning Rain, and that's obviously one of the songs. It's that old Gordon Lightfoot song. So, Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues is on there, and Early Morning Rain. There's a version of Frankie and Johnny, the old Jimmy Rogers thing. We've got the Kinks. Let's see, it's called Supersonic Rocket Ship. There's that Ian Tyson song called Someday Soon, which was a hit for Judy Collins in '68. It's all songs that there are 11, and except for one, which is Bob Dylan's Dignity, they're all, I think they're all prior to 1973 or so. Gordon Lightfoot, I mentioned. Leonard Cohen, Suzanne is there, and a few others. There's a country song called Pick Me Up on Your Way Down. I recently discovered Jimmy Gilmore had recorded it. I didn't know that, but so have I. So this thing is coming out, Caswell, May the 1st, and I guess I should say you can pre-order it if you like. We have a special offer going now to where you get a very recent live show recording if you pre-order steveforbert.com, the Early Morning Rain record.
Tell me how many years you.
I can't quite hear you. Was it the question? Let's see.
Caswell, are you on Wi-Fi right now?
Yes, I'm on Wi-Fi.
No, I know. No, you sound wonderful, Steve.
Touring.
Yeah, Caswell, are you on your Wi-Fi right now?
Well, let's check. I'll tell you in 1 second. This is the wonderful thing about live.
You were great about 45 minutes ago for the church service.
Aren't you glad we did a sound check?
Yeah, we did a sound check, and you were wonderful. So I'm gonna bring up an image while we wait for Caswell to figure out what he's doing.
Let me say hi to Blissa, and I see she's listening.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, there you are. So we have some old pictures play that are coming up. Take us back to the beginning when you first got into music. What year did you start touring and start recording?
I first started recording in Meridian, Mississippi. We even released a single down there in 1975. And by the summer of '76, I had decided I was going to go the Greenwich Village route and go up to New York City and try to make it on my own as opposed to being in rock and roll bands. So the first record proper, which was called Alive on Arrival, came out in 1978. So that's when I started recording in a national way, and that's when we started touring. We got around a little bit, and then the next record, Jackrabbit Slim had this hit song called Romeo's Tune on it. I believe we're going to play a version here on our show that you filmed, Caswell.
Yes, we will later.
Yeah. So that took me to a lot more touring, and playing live shows has been a way of life for me ever since. And I've loved it.
What do we get when someone comes to see Steve Forbert in concert? What are they going to expect to hear from you?
Well, it's certainly not a thing where I don't like to do this, that, or the other. You know, I like all 40 years of it. I don't mind doing the songs I'm best known for, even though I've done them many, many times. You know, so we go all the way back to the beginning, and I always try to do a couple of tributes to songs of Jimmy Rogers because I'm from his hometown, which is Meridian, Mississippi. And you'll get the newer songs. So I put out a record a couple of years ago called The Magic Tree. That's the latest record. It's been about a year and a half. and all points in between.
And
So
when you tour, do you tour with a band, solo acoustic, or do you do both?
both. Lately, I've been playing duo shows and not playing solo. I've gotten really used to playing duo shows with guitarist George Naha, who's been a great new asset to what I'm doing. Lead guitar player who's one of those masters of the Telecaster. And sometimes we are able to add Todd Lenka on upright bass, and that is what this live record I'm offering as bonus download is of. Caswell, right before the bottom fell out, we did a show in Roslyn, New York, Long Island, at my father's place. And that was one of those nights this freaking virus had broken out in New Rochelle, not far from Roslyn. We weren't sure we were going to have an audience, but everybody showed up. And that was March 7, Saturday, March 7. So that was when the curtain came down. We had a really fun time. And that's what these recordings are. They're of that night with the trio. And then the next week, people started pulling the plug, not doing the shows, postponing them, and here we are.
Yeah. So what do you, I mean, so obviously you, like so many musicians, because of this virus, have had all gigs canceled. How far out have you had to cancel shows?
Well, it's been more like how soon have we dared to rebook them? I think of speaking for myself, we have some shows lined up for, I don't know, September. Some people are saying they're going to do shows in July. It won't be anybody's fault if in the end if it turns out the eventuality is that they can't.
Right.
But I don't really have the answer to your question. We were able to rebook all the shows, but they start September, October. Some were, booted into next year.
So what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during this whole quarantine thing? Obviously putting together this live album, which seems like you did it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I've been working a lot trying to promote this early morning rain, doing everything I can. It's I have a record label called Blue Rose Music, and Michelle Garamoni is helping me, and my friend Mike Anderson at my website is helping me. And there's just a lot of work involved in just reaching as many people as we can from the platform that I have, which is, it's a folk rock, I guess what you say, cult following. But I've got to let people know about this new record. I mean, they know most of these songs already, and so it's kind of a relaxing, a breather. You'll hear my rendition of these songs I've wanted to record for years and finally did it.
Tell me about, we were having trouble with the connection when you were talking about the songs. I love that Bob Dylan song, Dignity. I remember the version of it from his MTV Unplugged in the 90s. I forgot which album that was on. It wasn't Blood on the Tracks, but you could probably tell me what it was on. But what made you pick Dignity? That's such a great song, but so obscure, considering all the Dylan songs you could do.
Well, to answer your question, it was an outtake from Oh Mercy, which he recorded in New Orleans in 1988, produced by Daniel Lanois. It was somewhat of a comeback record for Bob. And that song was, as I said, was an outtake. So it wasn't until quite some time later, bootlegs, that we heard that song. And I just thought it made a hell of an impression on me. It's the last song on the new record. And I always wanted to take a shot at it. So once again, that's just taking care of something I wanted to do for a while.
Someone just said that they're watching. It's 2 a.m. in France right now, and they're watching. Tell me about, so obviously in America, you burst onto the scene with Romeo's Tune. When did you have success in other countries, and are there certain countries that you had as much success in that you had in the United States?
Well, England has been really good, which isn't surprising, but that's been really good through all these years. But the first place I really went to play that was unusual was Amsterdam. I did a show in Amsterdam after Live on Arrival. There was just a pocket of interest there. And so there you go. I went over there, and I think we also did a couple of showcases in Germany. And then back to start work on this Jackrabbit Slim. And then I was really actually going to these places with a band and playing and opening a lot of shows with a really wide variety of people. Everybody from Phoebe Snow to Kenny Loggins to the Kinks to Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes.
Right in your neighborhood.
Yep.
So of all the people that you've gotten to play with, work with, or even just because of your stature in the music business have been able to meet, tell us, one or two highlights of people that you've really enjoyed working with.
Well, I'll tell you people I really especially like. But I have worked some. I like Al Stewart. Al's a fun guy, down to earth, very approachable, and he's just a nice person. There's never a dull moment with Al. And we did a tour together. God, it was 1994. It was called Back to the Future. I wrote about some of it in a memoir I put out a year or so ago called Big City Cat.
Yes.
Now, it's too bad we don't have a picture of that because I could tell you some of those stories of the group. Jonathan Edwards, who I believe you've had on this show.
Last Saturday, yeah.
Okay. And Jesse Colin Young was on this tour. This was Back to the Future. Tom Rush. We wish Tom well. I think he's possibly, I heard he's caught this freaking virus. I don't know for sure. Let's see, who else was on this thing? Al Stewart, as I'm trying to say. And the headliner was Don McLean.
Wow.
So that's when I met Al. I'm quite fond of him. And I like Cheryl Wheeler, the quote-unquote folk singer. Those are two people that have really been fun to know through these years. She's up there near you.
Yeah, and we were fortunate to have Al Stewart play the same series you played a few years back. And he even let my band open for him, which was cool. But Al was great. We had a long discussion about Russian history at dinner. He's a true historian.
Yeah, that would be him. In fact, his real fans know that he did a record of. He did a really nice record a few years ago. I think it was called Between the Wars, and it was just all about Europe between World War I and II. I believe it was exclusively about Europe at that time. It was very good. But he can do that sort of thing. He's a history buff. He did a whole record on the prophecies of Nostradamus in the 70s.
Right. I am the eyes of Nostradamus. All your dreams are known to me, or all your ways are known to me. I remember that.
Man, your time is sand. That's right. You got it.
Yeah. Tell me about you and writing. So, do you sit down with a guitar and start playing a melody and then come up with lyrics? How do you create these songs that we've all come to know?
Well, you'll hear this from everybody. It can go either way. If you hear a phrase that you think is a winner, you want to develop that and put some music to that and make it a song. Or you may come up with some music that you really like, and this thing is to put some words to it. And that you may have something to say, or you may just want to just make it nonsense, like what kind of guy am I really who don't wear pajamas and I don't sniff glue. But it can go either way, and I just find it as the years go by, I just have to work harder to complete them in a way that I'm happy with, so that I can feel good about getting up and singing them for that first time, and then they may need changes after that.
We're going to play another song now that I want you to set up for us before we play it. Tell us about your new song, Rand.
Well, this is it at the expense of Rand Paul. Rand got in some trouble a few weeks ago because being tested for the virus, and he decided he'd make it down to the pool and hang out a little bit, and that wasn't cool. And we're all in this world of social distancing now, which has to do with why we're doing the show the way we're doing it right now.
True.
It's been a while. How have you been? It's been a while.
Yeah.
So So the phrase went through my mind. Like I said a minute ago, the phrase went through my mind. Rand. There was a story on TV, and there he was, and I just thought, Rand, you don't understand, and then it just took off from there.
Well, why don't we play it right now? You recorded a version of it, right? Of course, in your house. Your dog was on the couch, and it was a great version. So Ben's going to play that for us now. And after we hear the new track, Rand, we're going to come back and chat a little bit more. So let's enjoy that track right now. Go ahead, Ben, whenever you got it.
Rand, you don't understand. I can't shake your hand, it ain't cool. Rand, you don't see the point. You can't be hanging out at the pool. Rand, that's nowhere to go. You think you're jeopardizing yourself. Rand, in fact you don't know. You're jeopardizing everyone else. Rand, you don't understand. We're quarantined and watching the news. Rand, they're changing our plans and we won't be on the holiday cruise. Rand. We're all wearing masks and we're putting off tax that would cause us to congregate now. Crowds will spread germs when we must come to terms with whatever these times will bring. Rand, you don't understand. We're shutting down the shops and the schools. Rand, it's time you begin to pick up on the new book of rules. Rand. Rand, that's no way to go. You think you're jeopardizing yourself. Rand, in fact you don't know. You're jeopardizing everyone else. Rand, you don't understand. I can't shake your hand, it ain't cool. Rand, you don't see the point. You can't be hanging out at the pool.
All right, that was awesome. That's a great song. So obviously that song just came to you on the spot watching TV. And how long did it take you to complete that song?
It took a couple of days. It wasn't just written out in real time. You just want to iron out all the little problem spots and get it so it sings properly. But I was at an advantage because Rand happens to rhyme with a lot of words. I didn't include the word contraband, but we got a few rhymes in there. And there's a proper version, if you will, that people can hear on my Facebook page. It's a free download, and they're playing it a bit. I understand Radio Free America's now picked it up. This recording, I'm talking about the proper one, and my friends at Outlaw Country are playing it. So that's nice too, because it's about social distancing. It's not just something to make life difficult for Rand Paul.
When I didn't take it as being partisan or anything. When you first heard, where were you? Do you remember the first time you heard one of your songs on the radio?
Well, Caswell, that would go back to, like I said, 1975 in Meridian, Mississippi. It was a group we had called, let me take a deep breath here, Sebastian Carrot. Okay? For obvious, why not? It's either,
Right.
some people would call themselves the Allman Brothers Band or, maybe the Gentrys, but we went for Sebastian Carrot,
Yeah.
But the record was a local success, so that was the first time. And after that, I don't remember.
So even today, and with Sirius XM, especially when they have those, I mean, obviously you get grouped into something like the 70s or the 80s. But is it rewarding that the old stuff is still being played? I mean, is that edifying for you 40 years later that a song like Romeo's Tune is still on the airwaves?
Absolutely. Sure. As a songwriter and as a recording artist, I mean that's you know that's the reward. That's fantastic.
Someone did ask a question, a timely question. Did you know John Prine?
Just a little bit, not well. No.
And so Will Duke says, can't wait for the cover album. There's tons of comments here. One person wants to know if you still enjoy touring.
Oh, I really enjoy touring. We'll see how all this stuff plays out. I look forward to getting back up to it. I'm a person, I'm really having to slow down a little bit. I'm kind of always on the lurch, ready to be on the go. It's a way of life. But I'm able to do things to promote this new record without running all over the place, and that's okay. But I look forward to getting back out there and picking up the ball and running with it. It'll be fun. We'll see what happens, man.
Oh, I know. It's such a crazy world we live in, and everyone's got to just be on hold until I guess someday, hopefully soon, we get the all clear. I wanted to set up our final song here, which of course is going to be Romeo's Tune, and I want to go back to when that song got released back in the late '70s. How did that, having a hit that went so far up the charts, how did it change your life, or did it change your life?
No, of course it did. Obviously, it meant we were more in demand. I had more places to play, and it took me all the way to Japan and back to Europe and that sort of thing. And otherwise, it just it put me in the spotlight a little bit. It wasn't the top number one record. It wasn't anything like what would say be happening to Britney Spears. But it takes you through some changes. It certainly does, and that's a good bit of what my memoir was about. Was sort of tracing all of that and trying to explain some of it and relive it and sort it out.
I think, by the way, Ben has some photos. One is of the memoir, and one is the original record of Romeo's Tune. So if Ben's still got those, you can put them up while we're finishing talking. So tell me about what one more time now. So we can get this bundle if we go to your website. Tell us what we're going to get: the live album and the covers album. Is that right?
Right, and we also have some rabbits for Easter and some chicks. But I'm kidding, of course. What we have is it's the upcoming in Early Morning Rain covers album. The 11 tracks. We're Caswell pressing compact discs on this. We're not making vinyl initially, but they're making the CDs now. And so for those of you who are like me and want to get some physical, actual semblance of a record you can hold, not semblance, an actual item, we're going to have those. And so that's what you can pre-order at steveforbert.com. And just to encourage people to pre-order, because it's not like we can send you the record tonight. It's going to be a couple of weeks. You can get this live show. It's 18 tracks. It's pretty generous. I think it's $7 as an added, attraction.
And the book is up on the screen right now. Big City Cat, My Life in Folk Rock, Steve Forbert. It's also available now. And in fact, there's the bundle right there. There's the cover of both of the records. And live in New York, March 7th, 2020. That's got to be the quickest live album to ever be brought to market.
Maybe.
I think so. That's like a turnaround. That's a month. That's crazy.
Yeah. What I remember is that when Joe Cocker recorded The Letter, they were ready to start Mad Dogs and Englishmen, and A&M Records wanted to get a single on the air to promote the tour. And that was an all-time fast release. They recorded The Letter on a sound stage in Los Angeles while they were rehearsing for the tour, and then hit the road, and it worked. They had a hit on the radio for the tour. But yeah, this is pretty quick. There's a good version on here of In the Jailhouse Now, which is a tribute to Jimmy Rogers. So that's kind of fun with some yodeling. And of course, Romeo's Tune is the final tune, and there's everything on there from recent stuff and the oil song and all kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, listen, Steve, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I also want to thank the fans on your page that are watching. With this modern technology, we're able to be on several different platforms at once. And I want to end with Romeo's Tune, but this is a version of the tune that's very special to us because you played in our hometown, Westerly, Rhode Island, at Musqueamicut Beach, and it was a beautiful night. The sun was just setting. You played at this concert called Tunes on the Dunes. So thank you, Steve, for being with us, and we're gonna take it out with Romeo's Tune.
My pleasure, Caswell. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hope to get you back up here soon.
Okay.
Leave me in the middle of the day, let me hear you say everything's okay. Bring me southern kisses from you. Leave me in the middle of the night, let me hear you say everything's alright. Let me smell the moon and your perfume. Oh, God's long years will rise and fall, and there's always something more. Lost in talk, I waste my time, and it's all been said before. While further down behind the masquerade, the tears are there. I don't ask for much, you just want someone to care. Yeah. Leave me in the middle of the day, let me hear you say everything's okay. Come on out beneath the shining sun. Leave me in the middle of the night, let me hear you say everything's alright. Sneak on out beneath the stars. Oh, come on. It's king for queen, and we must go down now beyond the chandelier, where I won't have to speak my mind, and you won't have to hear shreds of music, afterthoughts, and those complicated scenes. Gonna weather down behind the light and then fade like magazines. Say, oh yeah, leave me in the middle of the day, let me hear you say everything's okay. Bring me some kisses from your heart. Leave me in the middle of the night, let me hear you say everything's alright. Let me smell the moon and your perfume. Whoa, 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 whoa. Leave me in the middle of the day, let me hear you say everything's okay. Let me see you smiling back at me. Leave me in the middle of the night, let me hear you say everything's alright. Hold me tight and love is free. It evermore and with me, yeah. Thank you
Awesome.
all, thank you. Good night.
That was awesome. That was great stuff. So that was from 2012 when Steve came to our town here in Westerly, Rhode Island. So thank you all for watching tonight, and thank you to Steve Forbert for being here on the show. For those of you who are new to our show, if you go to the Caswell Cook Show, CASWELLCOOKE, you can see some great interviews that we've been doing the last few weeks of some people that were mentioned by Steve, including Jonathan Edwards, who was on the other day. Next week, we have Joey Mullen from Badfinger coming up. We have Susan Cowsill coming on the show next week. We're here pretty much every night at 8 o'clock. It's really awesome what we're able to do with this great technology. So it's a lot of great stuff going on. Go to the Caswell Cook Show Facebook page and be sure to follow us so you can see all the different shows that we're doing. We've been at it for a long time, but we've just started doing this live streaming. And my thanks to my producer, Ben Barber. And thank you to all who watched us tonight. And thank you so, so much to Steve Forbert. He's such a great guy. You all love him. He's talented. And that version of Romeo's tune, I was the guy standing right behind him. I booked that concert series, and I was the guy standing behind him on the thing. I just remember that night, and I remember that song, and it does something to you, a song like that. It's got such emotion connected to it. Hey, Mia, thanks for watching, and Eva. Tons of people, and from all around the world, people in France and Wales watching us tonight. So on behalf of everybody at the Caswell Cook Show, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. We're going to be back after the Easter holiday. We're going to be back on Tuesday night with Mike Panera from Blues Image and Iron Butterfly. So 8 o'clock on Monday night, we will be back right here on the Caswell Cook Show, on the Caswell Cook Show page. Thanks to Steve Forbert and the people at his page for letting us be live directly to you guys as well tonight. So thank you, everyone. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mom. Happy Easter.